On this channel, I always talk about carefully planning your teach abroad adventure so you can have the best possible experience. However, my first time teaching English abroad was not like this. In today's video, I'll talk about when teaching abroad doesn't go to plan and how you can make sure what happened to me doesn't happen to you. So sit back, relax, and get ready for story time, my first time teaching English abroad. After spending a semester studying abroad in Spain, I became obsessed with going abroad again. I began looking for different opportunities where I could go abroad in the summer, and teaching English abroad just happened to be one of those that kind of fit the bill. There's a lot of different programs where you can go for a month or 2 weeks or even spend the whole summer abroad. So I started to look for different opportunities, and that's when I stumbled upon a Teach Abroad volunteer program in Peru. If you're thinking about teaching English abroad, but you're not really sure if you want to commit to a whole year or 2 years of a contract, then teaching as a volunteer is a great way to kind of test it out and get a taste for it and see if you like it. But teaching English abroad as a volunteer does come with some costs. For example, you need to pay for your flights to and from the country. There's often a fee for the actual volunteering program. If you're staying with a homestay, there's going to be a fee involved with that. And if you're in your own accommodation, you'll be paying rent and then for food as well, plus any traveling money or extra money that you'll be spending. So as a broke college student, I was thinking, what am I gonna do? I really wanna teach abroad and try it out, but there's a lot of fees involved and different costs. So I found a grant to teach English abroad. If you need help funding your travels abroad, you can check out this video on finding grants and scholarships to teach and study abroad. I ended up finding a grant for people who wanted to volunteer in the summer through my university. I applied and I won. So suddenly it looked like I was going to be teaching English abroad as a volunteer during the summer in Peru. But then I actually ended up having a bit of a medical emergency, and I was put on some medication that needed to be monitored with a weekly blood test. And the location in Peru was so remote that the closest doctor's office was about a 2-hour drive away, which obviously wasn't a very good situation to be in. After I found out about my medical condition, I had to talk to the people in charge of the grant and see if I could switch location because the location in Peru was so remote. And luckily they said yes, but I only had 1 week to find a new location, to find a program that would accept me as a volunteer. Luckily, I ended up finding one on Dave's ESL Cafe. So if you've ever looked for jobs abroad, Dave's ESL Cafe has been around forever. It's just one of the websites now that you can use to find jobs abroad, but that was kind of the original website for finding these different opportunities way back when. And it is still running. They have a lot of great resources for people who would like to teach abroad. I found an ad that was looking for volunteer teachers for English teaching as well as dance teaching. And I'm also a dance teacher, so it kind of felt like fate and perfect. So I applied and was accepted into this program. Now with my grant money in my pocket and my new placement in Costa Rica, I was ready to teach English abroad in June, July, and August. Mistakes I made and things I learned. The first mistake that caused my teaching abroad not to go as planned was only having a plan A. I recommend having a plan B, C, and D if possible, especially now because of all the border closures and different restrictions that are in place. You don't want to rely heavily on just one plan in case it ends up being a scam, because there are a lot of scams in the teach abroad industry. It's better if you can have 1 or 2 programs or schools or placements in one country and even another country that you can fall back on as well. Of course, this is a bit tricky because you'll need to get different documents, like maybe your bachelor's degree, a copy of your TEFL certificate, different documents like this for each program, but in the end, it's worth it because you know that you'll have a good experience and you won't be caught out like I was. If you're completely new to teaching English abroad and aren't sure where to start, I do have a course that I'll be launching in early 2022, and if you'd like to be one of the first ones on the waitlist, then you can check out the link which is in the description down below. The second mistake that I made that caused my teaching abroad not to go as planned was not talking to a current or former teacher who had done my program. I always recommend reaching out and trying to talk to someone who's done your program or worked at your school, because that way you can know a little bit more about what to expect. When I got to my community center in Costa Rica where I was teaching English and dance, they didn't have a lot of teaching materials. So I really wish that I had brought certain things from the US that would have made it a lot easier to teach. These days, it's really easy to create your own materials that you can use for teaching on Canva. And if you would like some tutorials on how to make a book or a worksheet or a lesson plan on Canva, then I do have a playlist of Canva tutorials for teachers that you can check out. The third mistake I made that caused my teaching abroad not to go as planned was basically being taken advantage of because I hadn't set out clear boundaries and I wasn't sure what my duties were. If you're teaching English abroad for pay, all of this information is or should be in your contract. But if you're there as a volunteer, sometimes it can be a little bit murkier, I guess you could say, a little bit more unclear. So when I arrived to the community center, the director ended up taking a 2-week vacation and leaving me in charge of her business. So instead of teaching English, I was dealing with clients and money and families and helping new volunteers, doing orientation for them. And that's not what I signed up for. I signed up to teach English and dance at her community center. So because I was young and I wasn't able to say no, and it wasn't really clear what my duties were, I found myself in this situation. So learn from my mistake. Make sure you clarify exactly what your duties are before you say yes to this program and before you arrive, so you don't find yourself in a difficult situation. Since my first time teaching abroad in Costa Rica, I've taught in public schools, charter schools, international schools, summer camps, and English language colleges abroad. I've made a lot of mistakes and I like to share them on this channel so you can learn from them and teach abroad with a plan and confidence. What questions do you have about teaching abroad? Is there anything that's keeping you from taking the leap and moving to another country? Leave a comment down below. You can find me on Instagram at ESLTeacher365, and don't forget to get on the waitlist for my Teach Abroad course coming out in early 2022. If you'd like more Teach Abroad videos, I do have a Teach Abroad playlist. And give this video a like if you learned something new today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy teaching, and remember, the world is yours to teach and explore.